Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Caines, and Ed Mann.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Devs and a Maybe. I'm joined by the wonderful, I don't know why so wonderful, Ed Mann.
I'm taking that. Yep, I'm wonderful. Thank you.
The excellent Fraser Hart.
Hang on, is wonderful better?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that. Haha, I beat you.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent's a bit kind of. I don't know. It's a bit of a grey term, isn't it? Like, whereas beautiful is.
Excellent.
Did I say beautiful?
I don't know. You didn't. It's still
you
earlier.
said wonderful, but
wonderful. That's the one. Yeah, that's kind of got a bit of artistic, kind of like romantic flair.
It's a little bit romantic. I regretted that straight away.
Well, I'll take it though.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent works.
And we have a guest today. Bit of a noob, bit of a rookie, but he's basically an intern. He's working at my place. So
the greatest introduction ever.
Yeah, interesting
special
guy.
Guest. I'm a special guest.
Yeah, basically ditched a life of fame and fortune in professional cricket to follow the multimedia route. So yeah, Sachin Ishmael, how are you?
Hello, nice to be on the podcast. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries, our pleasure, I'm sure. So Ed, how have you been?
Been very good, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a cool week.
You've been to a conference?
Yeah, I went to a conference on Friday, the SymfonyLive in London. Was very
you were
cool.
schmoozing with the inventor of said thing.
Well, there was quite a few people there, like really quite cool people. And yeah, like the guy who made Composer was there, and then I met up with Bo and Dave from that podcast, which was quite cool.
That's
get
cool.
to see them in person, so that was
What
nice.
are they like? Are they nice people or are they horrible human beings?
Oh yeah, no, they're mean people. You know, I went up to them and went, "Get away from me," and I was like, "I'm sorry," but no, it was really quite cool.
That is cool.
And then had so we got lots of random swag. You went there at swag, baby. It's all about the swag when you go to these conferences, you know.
Like flat peak baseball caps and big trainers.
Literally, well, for some reasons, the Symphony guys, so you get with t-shirts and stuff like that, but they also are handing out beanies. So I got a Symphony beanie, as you do.
That's
so
cool.
when the cold months come now, because winter's arrived, I've now got my beanie with Symphony on, and as you do.
I was going to have a 3-dev snowball fight if we get snow this year.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. We've got the swag for it. We need to add it to our shop. We're 4 people, and that's just us and bought.
What is in your shop?
Just solid stuff. You go to the website; it's amazing selection.
You should read the website address out actually, because
it's shop.3devsandamaybe.com.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went to a conference on Friday. Yeah, it was some really interesting talks actually. So Bo was talking about Stack, similar to what when he came on to talk about, and Dave was talking about mock stubs, spies, and all the test doubles and stuff, which was really interesting. And yeah, there was a lot of interesting conversation. It is quite interesting. It was because it's been my first. I was really a conference virgin before this, and a lot of the people I went with, they've been to quite a few. So it's a bit like you're thinking, oh, what's it going to be like? Are these people going to be really, up themselves? And, you're going to say something wrong. But everyone's just so cool and chilled. Yeah. You instantly can just talk to someone because you know that they're going through the same thing as you. They're dealing with the same problems on a day-to-day basis that you're dealing with.
I think I'd be worried that I start talking to them and they'd start talking about stuff that I just didn't understand.
Yeah, but that's awesome though. So I enjoy that. The minute I'm out of my depth is now I know what I need to learn. That's when my I wouldn't even call it competitiveness, but more like my I really want to learn that now. So it's quite nice. And then before that, during the week, I actually started the Swift stuff, the iOS stuff. So been playing around with Xcode a lot. And
are you actually working on an app in Swift, or are you just kind of playing around?
Oh no, an app in Swift. Yeah. So we're releasing. We're doing we're slowly building up because what we want to do is build an app that's similar to the mobile experience we have at the moment, but taking advantage of what you can do on a mobile, such as push notifications and stuff like that. But the first iteration of it is literally a couple of things which are native, and then a lot of web view stuff.
Okay.
And it's really interesting going through and looking at Xcode and everything, because a lot of the tutorials at the moment are still Objective-C tutorials.
Yep.
And then there's a lack of Swift stuff. So though I've had a little bit of experience in Objective-C. I was hoping not to have to do as much Objective-C learning as I have had to do, because I need to be able to at least read it to then understand it in Swift. But no, that's really interesting. Xcode is really cool. I mean, the whole idea, you know, like with Android and stuff, there's like so many Android devices developing for an Android device, you know, the different screen size and everything. I think obviously with like the new iPhone 6 and 6 Plus and all these different screen sizes we have, we're kind of getting similar in the iPhone world, I feel, and stuff like the iPad and stuff like that. Because like the iPhone 6 and Plus is like 3 times asset size now. So it's not just double the resolution, it's 3 times or something. So
wow.
That's going to be obviously having to download 3x images because it's not even just like you go from a 50 pixel image to double it to a 100 pixel image, is it? Because it's like you double it and you double it on both dimensions. So you're effectively 4x in it when you double it, and then so you're going to be 16x in it when you triple it.
Pretty crazy, isn't it? It's like it's going to be an interesting kind of thing. I mean, obviously with 4G and stuff now, but then this is the thing with the base. I think that's another reason why we're going with an iPhone app, because, you know, with having a lot of the assets on the phone already, you're not having to bring them down the pipe each time. So that's quite good. I know you can do some fancy caching stuff, but it's good to have the phone experience. But
so is this just an app for My Builder, is it? Or
so it's going to be our app that then the tradesmen use and stuff.
So why not? I mean, have you got a web app option as well, or we
do. We find that a lot of people actually just use the web app primarily.
I mean, I keep thinking, are we moving away from like native apps and going towards web apps? I mean, what's the point? I mean, for something like My Builder, I don't really see. Are you just doing it because you know there's going to be people out there who really do just want the app? I
think having an app still is more because of the fact you can have native experiences. You know, and you know, when we're playing with it, because one of the things the designer Will did, we're using this thing called Marvel app. Weird name, not Marvel as in the comic, but there's like this mocking application, prototyping application, where you can make images of, like, you know, maybe hand drawn images or designed on like the computer images that are of each of the screens, and actually build, you know, functionality to see how it would feel like looking on the app. And having the native experience still is better. You're still going to get a nicer feel for it and everything. And so, but I think like for me at the moment, like Swift is still very young. And, you know, the lack of, there is a lot of documentation, but then it's all the little nuances, like making it so a lot of the stuff, like working out, how does, you know, my whole view on like apps now have changed. It's quite funny. It's like when you've got web, you know, when we're doing our web stuff. So, you know, now we go to a website and we don't just think, it's just a website. We think, how do they do that? How did they do that? What's that? You always look at the source. If it's a cool website, you instantly will look at the source to see, what's going on. Now with apps, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm like, how do they do that? You know, and like taking screenshots and seeing how it is. So yeah, it's ruined my app experience really. So yeah, don't do app design if you want to completely waste your time now just looking at apps just to see how they do things.
And is Swift like comparable to like any other languages that you've done, or is it different?
Yeah, so I kind of feel it's C. Well, it's a C type syntax. I feel it's very Swift-like. Not Swift. Of course, it's very Swift-like.
There's a reason for that.
Very Scala-like. Like it has this idea of optionals, which is very cool. The maybe monad in there, and it's kind of got nice wrapping around that, nice sugar syntax for it. Generics and stuff like that, and you can kind of do a lot of functional stuff in it. And I remember last week talking about the functional Swift book that's going to be released soon, which is going to be pretty cool. Like, and so yeah, I would kind of give it parallels to Scala, parallels to obviously Java in the sense, you know, because you know you can pick up you know, Swift if you know that type of thing, and it isn't because Objective-C's background is very much about message passing in the way that Smalltalk does things.
Yeah.
So when you look at Objective-C, you'll be like, this is weird, but it's similar to some, you know, any language. Once you get the gist of it, you're like, you know, what they're actually doing makes sense. So, you know, and it is nice not having to deal with memory management. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know they have ARC and stuff like that, automatic reference counting and all this stuff in Objective-C, but yeah, having a scripty type looking language is very nice.
Very cool. And was it, I mean, the conference, if you didn't know anything about Symfony, would it still have been worth going to? Was there other stuff that's like is it just all basically symphony stuff?
Absolutely. Oh no, absolutely. Like, I mean, the thing is about it is it's a symphony conference, and there's a lot of symphony developers, but there's a lot of talk about other frameworks, because obviously a lot of the components now that Symfony 2 has, or just Symfony, they like calling it now, is that, like Laravel, Drupal, all these other frameworks use them. So, you can take away a lot from it. And really, I think a lot, it's quite funny, because a lot of the emphasis is on good code now in the PHP world. I think our community is maturing.
Yeah.
But we're maturing, and obviously, like, I think 10 years ago in the Java world, they were talking about this type of stuff with like Robert, Martin, Uncle Bob. And now we're kind of starting to bring that in, some of the, a lot of the concepts and stuff, which is really good, and, everything. And that's when it's like good to go back and actually looking at like clean code and materials and looking at Java materials, because you're going to get it out a lot from it, in the PHP world.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool, man. Yeah.
So what's the format? I've also never been to a conference before. So to the uninitiated like myself, like what's the format? Like, do you go in, do you kind of walk in and into a big hall and there's like a row of speakers that come after each other, or is it kind of open networking, or?
So what with this one, I think it's quite similar to a lot of, you have like tracks. So you have track 1 and track 2, which are just different rooms. And so you go in, and we had to set up a booth and everything, but you normally have like a lobby area, kind of booth area, where you can talk to people, go and see what they're talking about. We had some guys from MySQL and stuff, and different people, Symfony people, and that's when you get all the swag and everything, and you can just have a word and just talk to them and stuff. That's where you'll find that a lot of people may be recruiting or looking for developers to help with projects and stuff. And then you'll have like food and breakfast in the morning kind of area, or morning kind of time. And then you go to the keynotes. You had this one. We had a first keynote, which everyone goes to, and then it splits off. And after every talk, pretty much after every talk, you normally go downstairs into the lobby again, have a little talk, and then you can choose what one you want to go to. So there'll be in parallel two talks going on at the same time. But the nice thing is they record both of them, and you can go and see them on YouTube again. So if you miss one, sweet, you can always go back to it and everything. So like that's pretty much it. And then throughout the day, you'll get some, go for lunch, and really it's just the idea of just talking to people. It's nervous at the first. You're like, whoa, this is weird, but you realise that we're all the same. Like, it is interesting, but like it's similar people, similar problems we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. And then there's the social at the end of the night. So once all the conference is gone, you go off, and there's normally a pub that they've kind of rented out like a bit of area for, and you just have you just chat then. And that seems to be when a lot more of the social networking kind of works out, because the conference is over then, and then people just lighten up and just chill and have fun.
Wicked. And was there people getting rowdy, and was it were people doing things that were going to regret the following day?
You know what, not really, actually. we
I couldn't make it, so
the thing is like I was so like, I wouldn't say starstruck, but more kind of like shocked, like, whoa, this is awesome. It is just awesome, like being around people who are 10,000 times cleverer than you, and they're open to talk to you, and you're like, this is pretty amazing. You're just going to take it all in. So I definitely recommend it. I definitely want to go to more conferences, because I think they're just a really good idea. And they're inspiring as well, because you'll get to speak to it's quite cool, because you see a lot of the talks online and everything, after the fact. But actually being at the conference, because you then get to think, well, actually I get to talk to them afterwards if I want to as well. So if you're stuck on something, or you want them to clarify something, or if you just want a general chat with them, it's a really, really good idea.
And in your role as ambassador for Free Devs and Maybe, what did you do? Did you hand out cards, or?
I just said,
free
come
t-shirts.
on the podcast. Free t-shirts. We had lots of free t-shirts.
Yeah, going back to the t-shirts, I just had a look on the shop.3devs and maybe, which everyone should go to anyway. Has the price of the t-shirts come down? Because I'm sure that when I bought one, it was like 20 quid, and they're like 12 quid now.
I think because
12.
Maybe it's just an exchange rate thing.
I don't know. I think because it's on the shop now, they are cheap. I have no idea. I paid like 20 quid for mine as well. So guys,
mine was definitely
bargain.
12.
That's
really?
£8,
Wait, what was the URL? I've forgotten already.
Anyone?
Shop.
What was it, Ed? Shop at shop dot 3 devs and a maybe.
Shop at, and you can email them, and we return you the HTML.
Yeah.
Nice. That's 3, the number 3 as well.
Oh
so.
no, not the number 3. Well, either.
word.
You could have either.
Okay, I'm boom.
Oh,
Nice.
dear. But yeah,
we need to get mugs and stuff on there because
we are mugs, aren't we? Way.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation.
Mike, if you have a 3 devs and a maybe mug at work, I'll make you a coffee.
Will you?
Oh, there you go.
How much
motivation right
one
there.
mug, one coffee, or coffee per day? Is that, I don't know.
Yeah,
how do we work this out?
It's a one-time thing.
It's a one-time.
Right.
So if he gets a new mug each time, does that, same design, but...
No, not the same design. If it's a new design, then yes.
Pixel to the left each time, so it just goes round the mug.
I'll just see that as a mistake in the end.
Bad printing.
Oh, that's good. How much are the books? I might get one then. Be worth it for a coffee.
How much are the mugs?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but there must be £10 or something like that.
Wow, we've really sold out. Shocking.
How come the women's t-shirts are more expensive? That's a little bit sexist, don't you think?
Yeah, someone made that complaint to me, actually.
Really? There's more colours in the ladies' t-shirts than there are
you guys are going to have Emma Watson on your case.
Yeah, so I know you hate the words, hot picks, but was there anything you took away that you thought you'd recommend on there, other than Symphony itself?
Other than Symphony itself. There's a couple of things, actually. So before... One thing, obviously, this week that has happened is shell shock.
Shell shock.
The bash thing.
The bash exploit, the bash bug, which is pretty serious.
Right.
And for some reason, we seem to have nice names for these things, like, when Heartbleed came out and everything.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 links that I'll put in the show notes, and I'll just put in the Skype for you guys. The video is really good. It's from a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's done a couple of videos. I did the Unicode videos that I think I showed a couple of months ago. And it's a really simple, this is what the problem is and this is why it's doing it, 4-minute introduction to it. You then have shellshocker.net, which is this is what you need to do to test to see if you still can be exploited by shell shock. And then I've got another link which is actually telling a bit more in depth what it does and how it actually works and why it's a bug.
These things are suddenly coming out. Is it because Heartbleed came out and then they were suddenly we need to check everything again?
No, it just happened. I mean, this has been around since 1994.
Wow.
It's just only just been discovered.
It's only just been discovered, and you don't know how long NSA or some other kind of government agencies have known about it. It's kind of scary because the thing is that if you use stuff like mods CGI on Apache or similar thing, people can just send requests with these good payloads, which are really simple payloads in a sense, and what they're trying to do, and then they're able to execute arbitrary code on your machine, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, clever.
It's very well. Yeah, I mean the thing is all it is the fact that it's trying to be a bit too clever. The way that Bash works is it's trying to be a bit too clever with functions inside of, when you assume, it's similar to the SQL thing where you assume that if you put something in quotes, it's not going to be, it's going to be interpreted as data, not as an action.
Yeah.
But because of a certain way that Bash needs to be able, if you want to ever execute a command in a sub-process or sub-child of Bash, it does it this way. But the trouble is it doesn't actually, it will execute that function. It will do the function, but for some reason, unfortunately, it also executes things afterwards.
Yeah.
Which could be malicious or something. So yeah, definitely check that shellshocker.net website, get your box up to date, and just and at the moment I think a couple have officially, there was a bit of confusion. I got confused myself personally, where it was it's partially fixed or something,
right,
for an update. So I would just say the next week, just every day, just do an update, just check on your box and stuff, that includes your Mac. I think with the Mac and stuff, the best way to do that is to just with the bash, you can upgrade the bash, the actual Mac bash, but personally, I would actually just use brew and install bash through that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely do that, guys.
To be honest, I haven't really got anything that important on my Mac. I'm kind of really lazy. I'll just leave it.
Yeah, I'm just going to wait until there's a software update for OS X and just download it.
How about your DigitalOcean boxes? Definitely do.
Yeah, I got an email from DigitalOcean actually
Yes.
with they've put together some guides on how to sort that.
Yeah, I would definitely do it just in
Again,
case.
a lot of effort. I mean, I
What
guess it
are
depends
you
if you've got
talking
into
about?
a few lines of code. Yeah.
What, you mean logging in, SSHing in, doing like an app update or a Yum update?
Well,
Too
to
much.
be fair, I mean, like, say you've got like a client's website on there, shouldn't they be paying for you to do that? I mean, in my mind, like,
What? You're crazy. You're mean.
No, I
you
guess
know?
if they're paying you for hosting, then I guess that should
It's
probably
all
fall
part of
under
that.
you because I guess if you had a bug in your code, which is I guess a service that you're providing, then it'll be up to you to fix the code. Whereas they're paying you for secure hosting, I guess. And
yeah.
And out of the goodness
Yeah.
of your heart, you're caring for these people. It is
have a
it is
heart.
quite scary because you have things like Docker, which uses like has these ideas of isolated containers. They have
Yeah,
their own
okay.
instances of Bash, so the idea of Docker is similar. Like that, each service you have is their own kind of isolated thing, which have their own Bash. So a lot of people who use Docker have got a lot of updating to do because each one of these boxes needs to be updated. So. And I
Right.
mean, the thing about Bash is it's used in a lot of things, like it's used in routers. So it's things that you don't think use Bash have this exploit.
Yeah.
So it's not just your server. You think, oh, it's okay. Things like your router may even have it, and that's even scarier because then your router, everything that goes through your network goes through the router into the real world. So
yeah,
definitely.
So I
something.
just need to update Bash and then I'm done. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would just continue checking the next couple of days, then probably up to the week, because I think just to make sure that you've got the final fix. But yeah, it is scary. I mean, some of the stuff like through like the Guardian, the BBC, and stuff. Yeah, they really don't understand technology.
Did you see there was a couple of news reports where it was like, what was it? It was there is an exploit called Bash. and
Yeah,
they were actually calling
that was it
exploit Bash.
exactly.
Yeah.
That. I was trying to find that picture. Yeah, exploit called Bash.
Yeah.
No.
And it was like the same thing. Do you remember when all the celebrity photos were leaked as well? And like there was, I think it was CNN kind of said a hacker named 4chan has like hacked all these accounts,
Genius.
like thinking that 4chan was the name of the hacker.
You think that these big companies would have just hire someone who, or have,
Yeah, especially like BBC and CNN and stuff. Like, why do they not have like a tech expert? Like anyone who's spent like 2 minutes on the internet knows that
that's it.
4chan's a
Just
website.
hire,
Like,
just a teenager, who just
Yeah.
does that and just knows. Yeah, you probably
Exactly.
should say, or maybe they're doing it because it's freaking hilarious. Because dear. But no, that's the shell shock stuff. And I will let you be in a minute. But there's this actually just come through today for the PHP. An RFC which come in PHP 7. It's the isset ternary operator. It's the double question mark. And similar to the idea of having default values.
Yep.
Yep. So when you say like, oh, I want you to have the get parameter, name, or I want it to be default of NA or something. Normally you would have to do is set. If it's set, then I want that. Else it's that.
Yep.
You can now just use this double question mark, and because normally you could use the question mark colon together, but actually that provides that results in a warning if you don't like suppress the warning or something. You know how we used to do the app suppression thing. So this is a very nice way of just solving that is set or kind of problem. So yeah, that'd be interesting.
I actually discovered a way of doing that in Laravel, like because it's elementary Laravel, but I didn't actually realize that you could do similarly. When you do the get and then the parameter that you want to get in Laravel.
Yep.
Is it get or and then you can put a second parameter as the default in there as well, so that kind of handles that, which is a really nice way of doing it. When I only found that out.
It's
Thursday.
really not. I mean, it's those simple things like that, but it makes the code cleaner. It makes your intent clean because you don't need this a lot. You don't want these if statements. Kind of confusing the matter.
Yeah.
And I think the double question mark for me looks good, and it's also in Swift actually, which it's used for. So unwrapping optionals and stuff. So no, I think it's a good thing, and I'm glad that it actually went through. And that is pretty much for me. That's it. So I've been yabbing on. So go for it, guys.
Sorry, that's a PHP 7 thing.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
It's
It's been submitted and voted in to the new as an RFC.
Oh, okay, very cool. How about you then, Fraser? What have you been up to?
I've kind of jumping on and off this this .NET project. I've still not written a lot of .NET code, but we've been trying to. Did I say about the store procedures that we're having to use to interact with the database?
Yeah, how did that go? Have you been able to?
Yeah, it's basically I spent a bit of time on Thursday and Friday kind of making changes to some of these store procedures because the issue was it didn't like the select intos, so I'm now having to modify these these stored procedures to create a temp table and then insert into the temp table. And I've never touched stored procedures or SQL Server, so it was kind of a bit of a learning curve to work out what I needed to be doing to do that. And there's still kind of a few things that aren't working as nicely and as smoothly. And like some of the syntax just seems weird. I was getting like an error by my eye, it looked like the code was perfect and stuff, and it was saying, like invalid statement near such and such, and then as far as I could tell, there wasn't. As far as one of the other guys could tell, there wasn't. And then we ended up chucking like a blanket select statement in between these, or on this line where it was giving us the issue, which wasn't actually doing anything. It was just selecting something out of the database and then carrying on with the rest of the operation, and the rest of the operation worked fine after that. So it's, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but yeah, we've spent a bit of time changing a couple of the stored procedures to actually work, but then we're going back to the client now saying, well, you've given us this database and we have to use the stored procedures. We need to spend a lot of time going through all these stored procedures and kind of modifying them. So
why do you use stored procedures? Like that's the problem with SQL in general, like the different dialects. Like you've got the Microsoft, MySQL, Postgres. They all have their own different nuances. But why do you have to use stored procedures? Is that like their way of protecting?
Yeah, it's their way. They've got a couple of other platforms that kind of interact with this data. So they've set up all these stored procedures that do essentially everything that any of their apps or any of their sites and stuff need to do with data. So they've said we need you to use stored procedures rather than going in and just kind of working on the database in the traditional sense. So they gave us, that's the thing, we kind of assumed they'd given us access to the live data, but what it seems that's happened is, what has happened that we can work out is they've changed, or they've made a copy of this server onto a Windows Azure box, which is a thing that doesn't support the select intos. So it's kind of, we've had a load of back and forth with them trying to get in. It's kind of hard to get in touch with the guys we need to be speaking to there as well. So we've been trying to kind of say, look, can you tell us actually what this data is, and like, are we allowed to change these stored procedures? Because obviously we don't want to do it if it's a live system, because if we make changes to these stored procedures, it could kill all their other stuff. But from what we can work out, it's not the live data source. So yeah, we're just waiting back on a response from them. So I've spent a couple of days looking into the stored procedures and all that kind of stuff. Still not properly written any .NET code, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting to a stage where I can crack on and fire away on that. And other than that, I've been working a lot of freelance work. I don't think I mentioned the online store that I'm building for this guy who's got the stunt plane and wants to sell vouchers for kind of stunt plane experience. So that's a really interesting one. I'm enjoying working on that. And then,
are you going to get a voucher when you finished?
I don't know. I was kind of like thinking, should I maybe say like part payment? Because I'd love to do it, like, because the vouchers are quite expensive. So I'd be. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, test drive. Yeah, I'll test drive your website if you take me for a test drive in your plane. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not testing it. But yeah, I'd love to do it. But the clients come through a designer that I work with, so I've not got any kind of one-to-one conversations straight with the designer, because it all goes with the pilot, so it goes through the designer. So I'm kind of I'm debating whether or not to kind of say, well, I'll knock some money off the fee if you can take me for a spin. But that'd be cool. And then other than that, I've had a bit of a long weekend. Literally, I woke up about 5 minutes before we started recording. So if I sound a bit hazy, that's why. Like I met a web developer that I used to work with down in New Zealand. He's over in the country at the moment, so I went down to Brighton with him for a few beers on Friday night, and it got a little bit messy. We got kicked out of a nightclub at like 3 o'clock in the morning. We walked in, and then there was a VIP area. So like, let's have a walk into the VIP area. So like walked in, there was no bouncer there, and we got in there and we were fine. And then like my friend, he's called Gene, this web developer from New Zealand. Like one of his mates was down as well, so his mate started trying to dismantle the furniture in the VIP area, and then we're like, "This is a great idea!" So we're like taking all the cushions off all the seats and turning everything upside down, like pulling all the backs off all the chairs. And then I was like, because they've got projectors and stuff, and they're kind of like projecting dance music and stuff onto the walls. So I was still on the table trying to like press buttons on this projector, and as I'm doing it, a bouncer walks into the thing. He's like, "Come with me, boys." So we kind of like, come with me, boys. It's like, we didn't fight it. We just kind of accepted it. It's like, we know we're getting kicked out. So I just kind of like walked off, and it was all very good fun. So I was out till about 5 o'clock in the morning.
They had to go.
No, I didn't actually manage to break anything. I was pressing buttons and nothing was happening.
Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, being drunk is fun.
Oh yeah, so I was out till about 5 o'clock in the morning that day, and then had to go up to Cambridge. Well, I didn't have to, but went up to Cambridge to see a mate of mine that I've not seen for a few years, and we ended up kind of in the University of Cambridge Student Union bar, which was quite funny. Yeah, but because it's off term time, so there was no like students around, but there was like a reunion party going on there. So kind of we're all sat there in this like.
And you're like, what did you do? I just did science, you know.
Yes. You know, E equals MC squared and all that. Yes.
I can't believe you guys are saying that about that.
But yeah, I wasn't drinking because I had to drive, so I only had like a couple of pints of shandy. So we found ourselves in the student union bar at Cambridge University, which was interesting. There was a reunion going on. There was a lot of people dressed up in like tuxedos and what have you. We kind of like sat around in the corner in a pair of jeans and t-shirts, and like one of my friends is like covered in tattoos, and he was getting strange looks from everyone. And good fun though.
Nice.
Oh dear.
And any
Mike?
hot picks from you?
I've not used anything new, to be honest. So no, unfortunately, I don't have anything to kind of report. But how's your week been anyway? Are you kind of juggling life and freelance and having a baby and house hunting and house buying and
exactly that, all that, to be honest with you. But I think hopefully I'll wrap up my freelancing today, which is good because I start uni tomorrow. So
boo.
yeah, exactly. I knew I had to get it finished by this weekend, so I think I'm on track to do that, to be honest with you. So finish off my little chat app. That's working pretty well.
What's your first lecture tomorrow?
Actually, to be fair, because I'm still waiting to hear on where I'm on one of the modules. My first lecture's Wednesday, I think.
What's your timetable looking like?
It'll be about 6 hours a week. And obviously it's just all the outside of, uni stuff. Like the weekends, we're probably looking at, 10, 15 hours.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm really upset. I wish I was actually going to university this year. So
that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
We can hang out. And people are like, who's that man you're hanging out with?
Why's your dad there? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my adopted father. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, juggling all those is interesting. But I think, to be fair, doing the freelancing for the last month has kind of helped me kind of settle in to know what it's going to be like. So it's going to be pretty killer, but it's all working to a good purpose and stuff. So yeah, the other thing I was going to say, just following your shell shock conversation, I was like, well, I know Ed's not going to stop moaning at me. I knew Ed wouldn't stop moaning at me until I get it done. So I just found DigitalOcean article on how to update and stuff. And it's, like you say, it's dead simple, but certainly for with Yum, it's like one command. I've just done it, and it was really quick and easy. So I'll put the DigitalOcean link in there if Ed hasn't already. I'm not too sure, but there we go. And the other thing I was going to mention, we were in a team meeting, me and Sash, this week about a few things really, but mainly about web page speed and all that kind of stuff. Basically, we got quite a few Magento sites that are just proper dog slow. So we've been doing a lot of trying to get to the bottom of what those issues are. Yeah. Which I'm not going to go into everything, but one of the things I looked at, because we were talking about the topic of sprites. I don't know how you guys feel about sprites. Is that something you use?
I try and use sprites as much as possible. It's just nice to only have to export one graphic than like 15 different graphics.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Ed?
I like sprites. I don't really do much of the front end stuff at the moment, but like when I was doing the freelance stuff, that sprites are really good, and you can get those generators, can't you, that just generate sprites out of all your images, generate the CSS. So it's quite
how good are those things? Do they literally just kind of make a single graphic with a load of images in random places, or do they?
So they build up the image, and then they also build up the CSS. Working out where things are.
Right, that's cool.
So they do all the hard work for you, really.
Yeah,
that's cool. What about?
Because I've never used one of those, because I sometimes find that when you're creating a sprite, obviously, if you've got an area that you want to show a background images, which is actually bigger than the image itself, and you don't want to repeat, you need to be quite careful as to where you actually place the individual icons within that sprite. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I've just generally kind of built them. Yeah,
what about,
just to Photoshop. And
what does Justin do for you guys these days? Is he does he give you
Does
sprites?
he design anymore? You know, is he still doing
he
design?
does. Yeah, I think he does about 5 minutes of design.
God,
A
he
week.
plays
Yeah,
online,
does
you know, goes on Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And a bit of client liaison here and there peppered in for good measure. But no, he'll just give us a PSD, and we have to kind of extract everything ourselves and what have you.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so he still doesn't do much work. He just kind of
kind of turns up, plays Worms for an hour at lunchtime, and
he's a
and
joke,
goes
isn't
home.
he? Real
Classic.
joke. Yeah, classic Justin.
Yeah, classic Justin. Everyone knows.
Well, yeah. But anyway, I don't know. For me, something just doesn't sit nicely with sprites.
Really?
I don't know what it is, but
Saves your request, man. You don't have to hit the server.
Yeah.
Well, that I completely agree with. So I've kind of looked at alternatives, and I think we've probably talked about this in the pod. But again, I hardly do any front end work anymore. So, but I was looking at Data URIs. Is that something you guys have used?
Oh, so actually having the image base encoded.
Yeah.
In line.
No.
It's funny because Mike says that, but he's never used them, obviously. Just one of the things he just suggests. Have you used it then? Mike, no. Just
It's one of these things he says,
throw it
Sash,
out
can you just
there."
look into this for me? Yeah, and like implement it on all the sites.
Oh,
I really
bud.
regret bringing Sash on the show. Yeah. But
He's
no,
telling us
to
what
me,
you really do at your job.
that looks like a better way of doing it to me, personally.
Really? I don't know.
Well,
I think it looks
you still
messy,
get
though,
past
'cause
the...
you do,
No, no.
but the massive images, though, because
Yeah, but you're still getting past that problem of, loads of HTTP requests, aren't you? And it's, I don't know, it just seems a lot more logical to me and a lot more readable to a developer. Whereas if you've got a sprite, you've got to spend all that time trying to position things and all that kind of stuff.
well, no, because
Unless
the
I've
thing is
misunderstood it.
you don't generate the sprite.
Yeah.
You should just get
No,
a
I
program to generate it.
Yeah, I get that. But then surely, like, when you're styling up your code, you still have to say, well, okay, I want to go down to this point of the sprite.
No, because
Is that right?
it
Or have I
generates the
misunderstood?
CSS for you as well.
Yeah.
Generates this here. Okay, you're right.
So
I see.
You literally give it a bunch of images. It
Yeah.
will then work out the best way to actually align them up and everything.
Yeah.
And then it will just
Right.
generate the CSS as well. So then you don't have to do. I'm not messing around with playing around with that rubbish. Like, yeah, let that do the job.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I could come round to that. But I just like the idea of this. It just seemed like, especially
It
if
is
you could
good
just
for
store
small
those.
images. Like, I think the thing is like for headers and stuff like that, like, header logos and stuff that are quite simple. But I think
Yeah.
I remember once on one of my personal websites, I had like these images, and I was like you, I was saying, oh, I'll just do it as data URIs, but then they look unwieldy, and they make the
Really?
CSS look awful.
Yeah.
Because they've just got this massive blob of bash of base 64 stuff, and it's a bit like, ugh.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I thought you'd be into that kind of stuff, but wow.
I don't swing that way. I'm sorry, Mike.
Wow, someone's just lost a lot of reputation points. But yeah, okay. Well, it's an interesting debate, I guess. Anyway, but for me, that looked quite tasty. But I think that's all I really had in terms of hot picks this week, to be honest.
How's work treating you?
Work.
Are you getting bullied by a certain person or
interns?
Yeah,
Just, I don't know
interns,
about you guys, but like, it's the young people coming to the company. Like,
I think they own the
just
place.
I think they know everything.
They do, don't they? Yeah. But no, work's all good, actually, to be fair. I've been doing a lot of Magento stuff again, which is...
You've been slagging
pretty
off this
painful.
guy, though. I can't remember his name, but he's an intern
Sash.
there.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You ring me up. It's weird.
He sounds like a cool guy.
He does sound like a dude.
Wait,
To me, he
does sound like a dude. Yeah,
but
no,
you ring me at like late in the evening, like early mornings, like why, and I'm like, Mickey.
I couldn't sleep because of this guy.
Yeah.
I had to,
I
like,
keep
get it off my
thinking of-
chest.
I think the mean
Thinking about
thing-
seeing a
Even my
therapist.
sandwiches.
Yeah, and
At
the
work, they've tried to they've tried many things to try and like make me feel like I'm not actually a proper employee. one of the methods was they're not going to call me Sachin, they're going to call me Tony as like a derogatory name. So they just refer to me as Tony. And someone at work has put me on their on Skype on their contact list. I'm listed as Tony Ishmael. Right? And then,
he had
and
someone
then,
from the university come to check that it was going all right and that he's doing a good job. And basically, everyone's idea was that whenever he came near any one of us, we would just flinch, like he's been like attacking us or something.
yeah,
It was
unfortunately,
fantastic.
placement advisor didn't want to come into the office. But another one is Another one was that they one of the guys at work tried to come up with like a derogatory name for me as well, which was he couldn't think of one, so he's like, "You're a worky," and I was like, "Good name."
Yeah, well played. Yeah,
Solid.
Yeah.
yeah.
So probably now is a good time actually to move on to Sachin. That's right. Yeah, get on to what Sachin does.
Get on to Sachin, yeah.
Yeah, let's get on to Sachin. Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself slightly and your background?
Slightly, not fully.
Yeah, I know. Don't fill it. No, don't give the full
I think
Only
experience.
give my first name and maybe
Yeah,
my first
keep
name,
it short.
All right. Cool. All
No,
right,
go
well,
for it. Say what you want.
All right. Well, I'm Sachin. I'm a student at the University of Kent. I'm on a placement year, so my year in industry, working with Mike at ExtraDigital. I'm allowed to say that, right?
That's a lot in itself. Yeah. Say
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying it at the moment. I started in June and I finished in February. My placement's supposed to be like 10 to 12 months, but this one's 9, but they said it was all right, so that's fine. So I'm just kind of seeing what opportunities there are, and just learning a lot really at the moment about. I'm right now. I'm more front end than anything else. So I'm doing that, and that's pretty fun. Kind of trying to get Mike to teach me PHP on the side as well.
This is going well. You're doing pretty well, I'd say.
You say that, but I don't even. Have you seen my code?
No.
Oh, typical
She's
Mickey.
good.
Typical
I know.
Mickey.
Classic.
Classic bud.
You bring good attitude to the lessons, though. That's
That's enough. Is that what you do at university? You just bring your good attitude.
Yeah, fail
So you
everything,
get
but just
through.
good attitude.
Yeah, it's like, when they say your grades for effort, it's like, D for effort in class, but A for attitude. Really, such a good guy.
That's pretty much my school report every year. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't know. I would say typical student life, but right now working 9 to 5, I'm kind of like living for the weekends. My only real time off. So I treat them quite preciously. So you guys should be thankful that I'm using some of the time to be on this podcast. No, I'm joking.
The millions and millions.
No. Yeah.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you actually before we get into like the nitty gritty detail and stuff, but like being a student now, like the tuition fees are scary.
Yeah, what does it cost to go to uni these days?
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny because at work, someone was like, no one really knew how much it costs, and they were like, "Oh, so you're not paying like what 3,000?" And I was like, I just gave him a look, to say like, "Wow, you're so out of it right now. How do you not know this?" It's not 3,000. It's £9,000 a year.
Wow, because I remember when I first went to, or when I went to uni, like my year was the first year that tuition fees actually came into play because it was free for everyone before then.
Yeah.
And then it went up to we had to pay £1,000 a year. And that was like, this is disgraceful. Like, why should we? Obviously, it's not disgraceful at all. Like, because it's gone up 9x since then.
Yeah, mine was free. I think, well, not free, £3,000 a year.
Right. Yeah.
So it got up obviously since you went and stuff. And Ed,
Wow.
I'm guessing you were £3,000.
Yeah, £3,000 as well.
So I don't know, like having
all
that
you want to
decision
say
again
is
now.
sucker. No, so.
Well, I don't know if I'd do it.
Oh man.
I don't know if I would think it was worthwhile now. If it's £9,000 a year, I don't know if I'd do it.
It's a
But
lot of money.
Look at it this way: if you're gonna, try and get a job in, like, say, this industry, or most industries, really, they're gonna look for a degree. Regardless, it's like the base level you need now. It's not just, oh, does he have a degree? But look at his experience. No, it's just, do you have a degree? Yes or no? And then you're just instantly put into like a separate pile.
I'm not sure if that's the case, actually.
I mean, no. I mean, there's obviously, like, if you have a lot of work experience, they'll be like, okay, well, he's obviously like had a lot of experience, and that kind of mounts up. But you have to have like a lot of knowledge and experience to like rival a degree. I think. I think going in like on your CV, not having a degree is like just a really big turnoff for people. It doesn't matter what the degree's in, as long as you have a degree. It could be in anything, but as long as you've like got that, it's like people kind of look for that as a kind of, oh, he actually bothered to go and study
And be in debt. He wants to be in debt. Yes.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, people, they say to me like, "Oh, is it worth it?" And I say, "Well, I say, well, either way, you're paying money back. So, or to me, whether I'm paying, 27,000, which is, the total of the 3 years, or 30,000. That's a £3,000 difference, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's so much money anyway. What's another couple thousand more? Like, I just see it as I'll pay it off eventually, you know.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I don't. But you know, I honestly I don't see that as a problem. I just want to get my degree. And I think that people should go and get their degree. I mean, yes, I understand that the money is an issue, but it's not like you're paying it all back the day after you finish, you know? Like, it's spread out, and it's quite lenient.
They don't start taking it off you till you earn an X amount anyway, do they? Like,
right, they don't, it's like 21, 22, 23,000. You have to be earning that or more. And also, I think they've changed it, but a lot of people, you could actually, if you went to live in another country, the debt would be wiped, apparently.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Yeah, I think if you for like 10
plan
years or something.
Originally, after university, was to go to Canada and live there. But I didn't know that would dodge debt. And people are like, "Oh, you're smart." And I was like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "Oh, people are gonna, dodge debt." I was like, that wasn't my plan. I don't want to dodge the debt. I mean, I'm not.
You do.
Paying it.
Yeah, I know the guy who does.
Well, I wasn't doing it for dodging the debt. I was doing it for other reasons, but that would, dodge the debt. Apparently, that would help. Yeah. So, but if they change it and I have to pay it, then I have to pay it. I honestly, it's not a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I suppose. Do you feel that it justifies the 27 grand, other than just having that piece of paper at the end of 3 years? Do you feel that what you gain out of it now is worth it?
I think it really depends on, one, the university you go to, and two, your lecturers.
Yeah.
And the students don't really matter that much, but it's the lecturers that really make you excited for what you study. People always say, "Oh, I'm thinking about studying this, but I really enjoy this." And I say, "Well, you should always study something you enjoy because you're paying a lot of money for it." And a lot of people actually, they don't go to their lectures, and it boggles the mind because you're paying so much money for something you're not even going to. I don't understand.
How could you justify just having a DOS for 3 years? If you're going to be in that debt, you might as well take advantage of what you have to have an offer.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was saying, like the lecturers, if they're boring and they look like they just kind of read off the slide all the time and they don't really.
Yeah, they've done it for years. They can't be bothered.
Yeah, which some of my lecturers are like that. Which
would you like to name and shame, and we can?
Yeah, name names.
I really would, but I'm not going to.
I honestly feel this is the big difference though between like when we went to university and like what's like now Sachin's going stuff is that I think people of our sort of generation, like, you could DOS around because you thought, well, I've not really spent much money on it. It's just going to be a great laugh. Whereas like it's only now I'm doing my masters and stuff, and I appreciate the value of money more and an education that I'm actually really taking it seriously. Whereas for like people like Sachin now, sorry, talking about you like you're not here, like because that cost, you can't go there thinking I'm just gonna have a DOS. Why would you wouldn't spend 27 grand to have a DOS, would you?
I suppose that you're still young, naive, and I'm sure that a lot of people do.
Yeah, I guess there
they
still are
assume
people,
uni
but
is.
Yeah.
Mike says.
And I guess a lot of people are doing it on mum and dad's money as well. So I guess like to them on an individual level, like I know because when I went to uni, it was kind of like I drifted into uni because it was like, well, I don't really know what to do with myself. So I went to uni, and fair enough, it was a hell of a lot cheaper then, so the financial impact wasn't as big. But yeah, my thing was like, another 3 years of not having to worry about what I want to do, and I can kind of see even with it being 9 grand because there's a lot of rich people out there, isn't there, whose parents like, I'm sure 27 grand for 3 years at uni is like a drop in the ocean. And I'm sure that there are still quite a lot of people that are kind of at uni in the same way I was at uni. It's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but this is another 3 years where I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to do work at the moment. I want to have fun.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, but I mean, after university, you're just, you're not really on summer holiday, are you? You're just kind of unemployed at that point.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I took my course was because it had a year in industry, and I thought, that's going to be really good to network or whatever.
You sucker! You put line and sinker. Oh, dear.
That is worth 27 grand right there. I'm just put it out there. Yeah, I mean,
you're an expensive guy.
But, worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, but it's really useful because there's some people on my course now. Actually, I went to, I say a party, but it wasn't really. I misjudged the situation because it said
well, did you come in a fancy dress party and it was
on the Facebook invite, it was like party, let's get,
naked.
People smashed. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I turned up, and it was just people in casual clothes, in the living room. There was about 8, 9 of them. Actually, it's probably about 7 of them. And, they were just playing, just chatting around like it was really casual, music to a really, not too high. And, I was like, oh, this is like a nice gathering.
But were they smashed?
No. We played, this is sad.
We played Twister. No.
We played drinking games without alcohol, right?
What?
That's how, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I guess.
Uni's weird. You changed.
No. It's not university. It's just that I don't know. They shouldn't have put party. Let's get smashed on the Facebook event.
On
If that's
appetizer.
not what was going to happen at all. It was almost like
insane.
fake advertising. Just trying to pull you in. Oh man, but yeah.
They know their demographic.
Yeah, so I was there, and it was hosted by someone on my course, and she was saying to me that, like I really wish that I was doing an EN industry. I'm kind of jealous. I just want to get out there now, because hearing everyone talk about it and say, oh yeah, I've like learned so much in like the first 2 weeks than I have done at university on the whole. So yeah, there's a lot of people who are just kind of saying, oh, I kind of wish I did it. But at the same time, I understand why people would skip the year in industry and want to finish their 3rd year so they can say, look, I finished my degree. I can like now get on with my life. Yeah. But I think it's quite a good like boon, because like once you do finish that year in industry, it's possible that I would be offered a job after university at the same company. And if not, I've got that experience to say, look, I've worked here for so long and I've learned this much. And, if I ever need help, maybe in the future with like, I don't know, something back-endy, I can be like, hey, Mike, can you help me a sec? Nice. But, expect a load of those phone calls, by the way, Mike. But yeah, no, I do think the industry is like really valuable, and I don't understand why people didn't really push it and try. Because during, you got to go through all the interviews. It's like a proper job. The university only helps you slightly by kind of giving you a list of trusted sources that they've talked to for you to get placements from, but it's not necessarily 100% that you're going to get that placement. You might not even get an interview. It's just kind of sources that they trust and placements that other students have gone on to from Kent previously.
So I suppose I don't know if we've actually asked, what course are you doing?
Right, yeah. So I do biomedical science. No.
Solid.
Yeah, I just read the Java Hand Guide overnight. I do multimedia technology and design. So that doesn't really mean anything. So I'll explain that, but it does sound impressive when you tell people.
Yeah,
that's why I study it. It's just anything. It's kind of anything media-y. So like Photoshop, kind of the Adobe suite. They kind of cover that. Websites. They cover film and like editing for manipulation, film footage and editing, 3D animation as well. So there's a lot of kind of there's some like graphic stuff as well, but there's a lot of I don't know, just anything media really gets thrown into to our course.
Are we allowed to plug your site? I know you get really funny about it, but I think it's really good. I know you don't, but
I don't think it's good at all. All right. Well,
trust me, it'll be better than anything me, Ed, and Fraser could do on that kind of thing.
Whoa, we're designers at heart.
Wow.
I take offence to that, sir.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what modules you did, Ed. Like when you probably know about this anyway.
No,
I guess
I really don't. I did like all the computer ones, like.
Yeah, but what's you're gonna put your site address in the Skype window?
Yeah. It should be this, but for some reason I can't.
It goes to michaelbudd.org. Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I can't get onto it at the moment. So I don't. That's
coincidental.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Let me just check something quickly.
This is good airtime.
It is interesting though, because like Mickey, I know we've talked about it before, but what did you do at university? You did history and politics, didn't you?
History and politics, I did. Yeah, that's why I thought it'd be good to kind of get Sachin on. Really, just get his input. I mean, I'm with Fraser, and I kind of think that. I mean, we've discussed it 1,000 times, haven't we? But I honestly would rather look at someone's code rather than their CV, I guess.
Well, I mean,
if
this is
good
it. I
takes or
think,
not.
your code speaks for you. Your GitHub repo speaks for you.
Yeah.
But I do understand where, the whole piling thing, that sounds weird, but, the whole idea of, have they got a degree? Yay or nay? It's a very easy way to filter. It's a good filter. Well, not a good one, but it is a filter system that people use. And right or wrong. But, I still believe that, I with my uni experience, I wouldn't have, taken it away. I would still have gone to university. So, but I do feel people feel that going to university then instantly gets them a job. And I don't know whether that's still the same vibe. That's what I had when I was at uni.
No, that's not true at all. It is not true.
People still assume that, because that's what I had at uni. People assumed that, that doing that would, instantly get them into a job, and then they'll be able to settle down. I
think there are people out there like that, Sash.
No, I'm not saying there aren't people like that, but I'm saying it's just not true.
It's completely, it's a complete fallacy.
Yeah.
Like, you have to work hard, and you only get as much as you give in university. If you take advantage of the lecturers, being able to go to their lectures,
take advantage of your lecturers.
You just came in at the right back time, yeah. But like, if you go, take like the course and enjoy the course, and do stuff on the side work wise, and but people just think of it as a coasting thing, and it's not. And you do have to work hard, especially at tech, like after uni, which is the fun thing.
So this is the URL, but for some reason it's actually down. I don't know why.
Kent's down. That's awful.
Yeah,
you need to get your own domain, man. That should be on your top of your priority.
Go DigitalOcean. Mickey will do it for you. I've just got you to do some more work, mate. You've got
so much
loads
spare
of time.
Yeah.
You've got so much.
I think I'm gonna. If I do that, I will rebuild it, because I don't like it at all. Now that I look at it, I don't like it.
Everyone's like that.
What side of the media stuff do you enjoy more then? The website? I suppose you're at Web Company, or the video side?
I used to enjoy the video side a lot more, and I think I still do. What I do right now for our company, it's not the most exciting stuff to do with video, because it's all kind of samey. But then again, I am like making tutorials, so it's kind of, I've got it down to a T, so it's kind of boring. Like, the process is the exact same. No, so right now the website is like really what I'm into. But I did kind of fall into it. I didn't expect to really enjoy it like I do now. When I first started university, I was really into just kind of learning the Adobe suite and kind of getting up to date with how to use Photoshop. Well, I knew a little bit, but not enough. And I really wanted to learn that, how to, image manipulate and footage and kind of edit that and just do some crazy stuff. And, originally I was going to take a course purely about just editing, footage and stuff, because it can go really in depth, and that the Adobe Suite has some really powerful programs. So that was what I was originally going to do. But I thought that this course is kind of a more all-round course, and there's a lot of coding in it. And I thought that I'd try and see how that would go. But yeah, I didn't think I'd enjoy website building as much as I have. So yeah.
So is this
One
your
of the things?
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, sorry, man. No, you go.
I was just saying, so with so at university was your first foray into the web side of things. Like, beforehand, have you made websites, built websites, or?
Oh yeah, so yeah, this is one thing that they actually didn't take into account. So when I did start university, it was I've never actually built a website before. I've kind of seen, when you can view the page source.
Yeah.
Using Chrome or whatever browser. Yeah, that's the only experience I really had, and I just look at it and I go, what is this like?
What is this thing? What are you doing?
What is this less than sign P more than sign? What does that mean? Why is there text inside it? I don't understand. It's obviously just some code that I don't. Now obviously I totally understand it and I can read it really easily. But yeah, that was the only real kind of experience. I didn't even know you could kind of edit in browser some of the stuff on the CSS. And just kind of play around. I didn't know all that stuff. But when I first started university, and they introduced us to websites and building with. Well, they started us off with XHTML.
Oh yeah, lovely, nice and strict. Yeah.
And and we're just okay, cool. That's nice.
It must
Is that
be valid.
the newest?
It must be valid. It must be valid. Or else you don't pass the
And there's no point in making it valid anyway, because it still works even if it's not valid. So that's maybe just me being lazy.
No, all browsers are so lenient, and that's the wrong thing. Browsers shouldn't. That's the problem, that they've become lenient. So they've kind of had to stick with being lenient.
Yeah,
where I work now,
developing in Chrome is it's too easy, because you feel like it's a safety net, like any mistakes you make, it picks up on it, fixes it, and you're like, oh, my website looks amazing, and then you put it into another browser and it just looks horrific.
Where we are, company me and Sash working at, everything is still validated at the end of a site build. So,
but I think that's one of your selling points, though, isn't it? Because that can be something that people want. I think XML was a good intention, but I think it was too strict. And I do love the fact that HTML5 literally went, we're not doing that.
We're do what you want, and we'll display it how you want.
Yeah, we're gonna just do what we want now. I went the complete opposite. It's like the renegade child.
During that, so it was. They made us. So I didn't know any website like programs that you could use, like Dreamweaver or Sublime or any of the others, like Brackets or something like that. None of that. I didn't know any of that, and they made us use Notepad.
Yeah,
I think that's good. Yeah,
I started on Notepad as well. Yeah.
At first, I was like, "Oh, cool! So this is like what people use." I was like, "There must be like other programs that, because this is insane. Like how to use just Notepad." But they showed us how to like link your style sheets and all that. And the first website I made was pretty bad, but I enjoyed making it. Well, it wasn't bad. I was a bit, the goal was to make a website that had 5 pages
that rival Google
and one homepage, and the 5 pages had to be about your favorite books, your favorite music, your favorite films, and then 2 others that you can make up. And so I thought it'd be nice to make like 1 page about one thing in one category. So I had like so many pages, and the website didn't look. I didn't realize it had to be professional, so I made it like look really childish, right? Or a bit more imaginative. Let's just say I made it a bit more imaginative than everyone else's, and I got downgraded like really badly for it. And I was like, oh man, like I really enjoyed making this, but I guess I didn't do it right or something. But it wasn't that I didn't build it right. It was just the fact that I had too many pages, so I could understand why that's kind of bad. But it was mostly just because of the way I designed it. And I think they're really harsh on you, because for some reason they expect you to build the next Facebook. I don't understand why. Everything you do, they really try and make you, they think you're like some child prodigy. No one is. There's a lot of people on my course who are learning for the first time everything. Everything that we're introduced to, totally new to them. Not for me in some cases, to video stuff and some of the Photoshop things, but a lot of the stuff was totally new, and website building was totally new to me. And I using Notepad, I found it really difficult, and I didn't really understand some of the concepts and how to target things. I was using I didn't know the difference between classes and IDs for a long time. During first year, so that was That was kind of bad. And, when you validate, you have like 100 and something errors, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to take me forever." Now, when I do a website, I have maybe 10 or less errors, and it's really easy to fix because there's stuff like, "Oh, you missed an alt tag," But yeah, no. So I do think some of the lecturers are a little bit harsh on you, which is actually why it's like a negative to my course. I just don't like the lecturers enough. Because they really try and make you out as if you're the designer and the developer and the project manager. It's too much. I think they expect too much of you.
So one of the things I was going to ask you, because we had this very minor debate like in the office the other day, and you were making that banner ad as a GIF, and I was kind of saying, I'd probably do that with, I don't know, CSS, JavaScript.
Yeah, I was like. Such a back-end thing to say.
But I kind of guess, I don't know. I mean, what do you think the advantages are of doing it as a GIF?
It's really easy.
Yeah.
There's the only code you need is just like, that one image tag. Really.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, instead of like, for like an image carousel or something?
It just kind of made me think, because I would probably, like I say, code that all up, and actually that would probably take quite a lot of time. Whereas, doing it as a GIF, I mean, what you're saying is pretty quick. Is that right?
Yeah, it's so much quicker.
Yeah, I think it just made me think that maybe sometimes I try and code stuff up when actually there's better ways of doing things which are a lot quicker. But
I would never use a GIF for an image carousel ever.
No.
I would use JavaScript.
Okay.
I wouldn't use. I would only use a GIF for like. I mean,
Memes.
right now, yeah, that and what I was using it for was like a Google ad, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it for part of your website. I would never use a GIF at all. I don't see why you would. But
Right.
it is, if you were going to substitute it for an image carousel, it'd be really low memory. It'd be just kilobytes. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously for an image carousel, you want the images to be kind of the best quality, and you want to kind of push the size limit as much as you can. So I don't know if you have like 150 KB limit or something like that. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's much more difficult, and it's a little more difficult to edit. But a GIF, you could just like go in and just manipulate it quickly, and then save as. You can put it back on your website. So I do. Yeah. So if you were going to do it for an image carousel, which I wouldn't, a GIF would be quicker.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't use it.
The other question I had was Flash. Is that something they're still teaching you at uni, and do you see a role for it?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So sorry. Was that the end of the question or?
Yeah. Oh no, I've got others, but yeah.
No. End of the question. Not all of them. Yeah.
Sure.
So they don't teach us anything to do
Right.
with Flash at university on my course. Maybe other courses, I don't know, but I also doubt it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say there isn't a place for it. I think to say that, let's say if you said Flash is dead, I would say that that's quite close-minded. I wouldn't just call something dead.
Yeah.
There's always a place, there's always a time and a place for something. And, at university, if you were to build a Flash site or use Flash on your website, it would be to target that kind of specific, like, part of the industry that you want to go into.
Yeah.
So if you know a company that still kind of needed those skills, you would make your portfolio using Flash and be like, look, I can actually do this. Whether, there's no point making your website in Flash or something, or your portfolio in Flash, or a project using Flash, and then, being like, oh, look at my portfolio or whatever, or look at this project that I made, and it doesn't really relate. So I think, it has a time and its place to use it. So if you were going to target, I don't know, an employer with it, I think that's the way to go. But I don't know. I haven't really used it at all in anything that I've built, but I wouldn't say it's dead.
I think that's a
Would you
wise
say it's
move.
dying?
I would say it's like a child that's fallen over, and it's not your child, and you're like, shall I help up the child? I don't want to be caught helping up a child I don't know. What if, his mum sees me? Oh, it's going to be weird. So, you kind of just stare at this child who's just on the floor.
And you're laughing
crying,
at them, and you're just like, that's
maybe
awkward.
bleeding. Well, no, Fraser's laughing at them. He keeps saying, oh, is it dying? Is it dead? So, yeah, Fraser's laughing and pointing. And he's actually taken a picture and put it on Facebook, tagged everyone in it.
Sent a Snapchat to his friends. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, it's blown up on the internet. He's now like a meme sensation. Like, lol, look at Flash. It's dying.
I think a lot of these
Can't
things.
get up and I'm not helping it.
See,
A lot of these things have a habit of coming back, don't they?
I
Coming back into fashion.
don't think it will. I honestly think
No, I don't think
it's
it will.
dead. I think it's
And
proprietary.
I think Apple's
crap.
killed it, hasn't it?
Like the thing is with it is like all the stuff you can do with it, you can now do with JavaScript and CSS, and you can target. I know it's a lot hard, but the SEO side of things, you can do a lot more with Java. Well, because ActionScript is JavaScript. It's ECMAScript. Sorry.
But what about portability? Then you want to put that same thing on another site and another site, or hundreds of sites, packaging that up and making it.
How do you? So what is?
So if you had like a Flash object, you just embed that object,
Swift.
right? Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you had like a JavaScript and CSS equivalent, then you'd have.
You'd have.
It's like
at
CSS,
most, you'd
like
have two things. You'd have a CSS file and a JavaScript file.
JavaScript file, yeah.
Yeah, I
And then
guess.
but I think the thing is like I think you can do. It is weird, but I think the reason why just Flash is not winning and has kind of died is proprietary. People don't want Adobe stuff that they have to have.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it is probably the tooling around HTML5 and CSS3 stuff is not that good yet. I mean, there are packages coming in that are helping making that easier. You know, like obviously the Flash software is good and it knows what it needs to do and stuff like that. But I do feel.
And then I guess what about backwards compatibility if you're using something that's like a latest CSS feature or something like that, whereas Flash goes back to pretty much first, second generation of browsers, right? I think
because it's a plugin, yeah. So it's like Java applets, isn't it? Really, it's one of those extent. I mean, you know, I think I can see where you're coming from, but I still believe it is gone. I think, and you see websites that are still made in Flash, and you just look at them, and you do the right hand click, and you see Flash playing. You're like,
it just feels really antiquated, whatever that word is, old. And it's and I think a big kind of nail in the coffin as well, the fact that Apple's not supporting it, and
that's it. I mean, Steve Jobs said
everyone's got an iPhone, and I think
Steve Jobs said at the beginning, you know, he doesn't want to support it, and boom, that kind of made a massive change.
Apple doesn't have the
Mike,
the
be careful what you're about to say about Apple. I mean,
easy, son, easy.
Obviously, I'm a big.
First of all, you've lost all your Flash listeners already. Your Flash users, they're all gone.
But the thing is, obviously, like Android has a much better share of the market, a huge, and it has a bigger market share.
Yeah.
So they could get to the point. It's not impossible that Apple might be forced to make a U-turn.
But you're still proprietary on the fact that it's Flash and it's Adobe. You know, open source it. Then I think that's the thing. I mean, I know there is an open source player equivalent. Which you have to use for Linux. I mean, they don't. That's the thing with Flash. I don't think not Macromedia now. Adobe, they aren't releasing another version of Flash for Linux or something. So, and that's awful. And obviously, like things with. I mean, Chrome packages its own version of Flash, so it doesn't have to use the plugin. Yeah. So because if you say you boot up a machine, set up a brand new machine, if you install Chrome, you'll be able to go in and use Flash and everything because it's got its own version.
That's a good point, because I don't think I've ever installed Flash onto this machine. Because if
you go to like Safari or Firefox, you'll be like, oh, you need to download and install Flash now. And the reason why they do that is so they can have the updates inside of Chrome instead. So they don't have to have this, proprietary thing that, say that gets a security bug.
They have to wait for something else,
They have to wait for that, so they package their own one up. For better or worse, but I think that's solving a problem at the moment. But, I think, it's a tough one.
I don't really have an opinion. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I don't think it's dead. I don't know. I can see these things having revivals. You see it with languages. You see it with other things. It'd be interesting to see, but I've never used it, so I can't say I'm a fan of it at all. But
typical bud.
But I would be very reluctant to say it's dead. Not just yet. I mean, it could have a comeback, but who knows? And the only other thing I was going to ask, obviously, we were looking at a video, me, Sachin, and a guy I worked with, James, the other day, which was like a music video, and the animation reacts to the music. That's right. I've got that the right way around, haven't I, Sash?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So the music's playing and the animation. Time, yeah. And to me, that looked insane.
Like the animation.
I've sent you a link. Yeah. But I mean, to me, that looks like that would take years and years to build. But Sachin, you were saying it wouldn't, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, because they look like they've just. Well, I mean, if they built it using 3ds Max, which is a 3D program that I use, then it's not that bad. I think it does look complicated because there's so many parts, but what you can do with the 3D programs are so powerful. You can just you can duplicate and use certain pattern duplications, and you can modify shapes to be all sorts. It's really it's amazing what you can do with it. It's not as hard as you think. Once you know how to do it, once you kind of seen the process, it's like with anything really. Once you see the process, you'd be like, oh, okay. Once you see the breakdown of it, you don't feel so overwhelmed by the whole thing. But yeah, no, if I could probably do that. A small version of it. It was amazing, and it probably took them a long time to do it. So yeah, 3D does take a long time to do it right. There's kind of so how you can code something, and although it might work, the code quality might be terrible.
Yeah.
It's the same with 3D. So you can make something and it will look fine, but really the way you've shaped the polygons to make a shape, it could be terrible, and there could be issues with it. So that actually does hurt the process down the line when you texture it. But it's pretty amazing. How long was the video? Like 2 minutes or something?
Apparently, I think it was about 2 to 3 minutes, wasn't it? Something like that.
I can't explain it because there's loads of weird shapes and there's like ping pong balls bouncing around, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I guess the last question, because we have gone way over the hour mark, but for like anyone who hasn't got university background or anything like that and who wants to get into like 3D design and multimedia, that kind of stuff, what would you say like their first step should be? I mean, how easy is it to get into? Should they be intimidated by it?
They shouldn't be intimidated by anything they want to do. First of all, if it's tough and it does take a long time to produce something that's worth even just a quick glance. Like it's so I was saying to you the other day, wasn't I, that working on a 3D project for less than 3 hours, you might as well have just not started. You need to work on it for a really long time for you to produce, for you to even move forward in your project. Just, you got to keep working at it. And it's a really long process. You would, obviously everyone has their own workflow, but you would tend to you'd start off with like your research and looking at, models that you want to build and reference images. And then you'd start to like build it in your program. And then you would kind of texture it afterwards, and then you would like animate it, and then you would render it all out. The process is quite long. Anyone who's looking to go into it, I would say just have a play around, maybe do some tutorials online, but they shouldn't be intimidated by it because every program, when you don't know a new program, there's so many buttons on the screen, especially 3ds Max. If you touch anything on the keyboard and you don't know what you just hit, it's really hard to reverse. And I used to like press G, which would turn off the grid, so I couldn't see. I could see my stuff, but there was no grid to like reference. It was really weird. It just felt like your project was flowing in space, and I didn't know how to turn that back on. So I would save my project, close 3ds Max, and reopen it again. And it's really bad. Like, you shouldn't do that because all it does is like one keyboard shortcut. But no, you shouldn't be intimidated, and you should try and learn as much as you can. There's a lot to learn. But if you take it step by step, and at degree level, they teach you like you know nothing, which is perfect. They don't pretend that you know even the basics. Yeah. And you can just, especially if your lecturer is decent, that you can email them whenever, and they'll just reply to you. I know my 3ds Max teacher, my lecturer, he's a nice guy, and if you want to talk to him about anything, he will sit down with you and explain to you like everything you want to know, and you can just email him and he'll email you back when he has time, explaining everything and possibly linking things, like YouTube videos or tutorials or even a book that you could just like read up on or something.
The process of like building a model in 3D Max and stuff, like is it kind of the equivalent to getting a block of clay and moulding that clay into something that looks like Buzz Lightyear, or is it like what's the actual process? Because how do you actually? Right,
so you can do that. That is one way of doing it, and there's not all 3D programs are you start from scratch. There's I forgot what it's called. It's called Mudbox, and that's actually a texture program. But what you can do is it gives you this like clay looking like object, and you can just kind of chip away at it or smooth it out or bump it up or modify it, eventually getting it down to what you want. You wouldn't use it. It's ideal to actually build everything from scratch using your own shapes and modifiers and stuff before you bring it into Mudbox to like texture and manipulate.
Okay.
But you can actually do that, and there are some what's it called? Samples, I guess, and one of the samples is a human body, which is really helpful because you can then take that human body and you can pull it back into 3ds Max and kind of break it down and try and like give it like a skeletal structure to like animate. And it's tough. It's better for you to kind of maybe build it by yourself first, but that could be one way of doing it. So yeah, you can actually just mold away, or you can start from scratch.
Wow, that sounds really quite difficult, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you get used to it. You get used to it.
Are you a Mac or a Windows guy?
I would like you to take a guess.
I think you're a
I
Windows
reckon
guy.
Windows, because can you get 3D?
Because you were joking about
desktops
3D
Macs on Mac.
Yeah, I am a Windows guy.
Boo.
I don't know. I think Ed and Mike, you're Apple guys, right?
All of us.
We
are.
all are.
Oh,
Yeah.
you all are. Oh, right. Why did you bring me on then?
No,
we just couldn't
we're
get anyone
thinking
else.
this
I'm
now.
basically
We're thinking
I'm
desperate.
basically just the other side for you guys. Okay, yeah. No, I'm a Windows guy. People tell me that I should get to use Mac, but the people that tell me to use Mac, I think they tell me to get it, but they don't really know why they want one, and they're the type of people that buy a Mac but only use it for like Facebook, and it's like you're telling me to get a Mac because it's super fast, air quotes. Like it's I don't. People have told me to get Macs who have actually used it for its purposes. Like I view a Mac as like a media machine, and actually, if I was considering getting a Mac to do all of my video stuff because they're quite powerful. But yeah, and I don't know. Like I don't even know how to navigate a Mac.
That's crazy.
As I was saying to Mike earlier, just before the podcast, that it took 3 people to change his desktop. Like his background. It's quite. I don't know. I think once I get used to it.
And another one is the Adobe suite. Like Photoshop for web design. I assume, is that what you've been taught to use for designing on the web, or is there another application?
Well, I wasn't necessarily told to use it, but I was taught to use it for it. But I prefer. I mean, when I started working with Mike, the designer gave me a website, and it was in Fireworks, and I didn't know anything about Fireworks. And then I was like, oh man, I really wish this was in Photoshop. I understand Photoshop a whole lot more. And when I started, then my second design was for Photoshop, and I was like, wow, this is not good at all. I really wish it was Fireworks. What I don't like this. It's because in Fireworks you can click every little element, like every tiny thing, and you can. In Photoshop, it's difficult because you have to select certain layers, and if something's on the same layer, they're technically the same image. So it's kind of
a different way of working.
Yeah, I don't prefer. And it's Fireworks. It's easy to like click something, create a new like tab. And paste it in and have the size of the image like perfect to cut around it, and then you can have like the transparent background, and you can have that as a nice image. It's easy to do that on Fireworks than in Photoshop. It's the same thing, but it's a little fiddly. Like you have to actually crop out everything, and it's not like great. So I do prefer Fireworks for web design, but I couldn't actually do my own design in Fireworks.
Fireworks is weird, isn't it? It's like Macromedia product that then obviously got taken over by Adobe. And what actually is it? Is it a web? Is it made for the web, or is it made for vector manipulation?
Right. So for vector manipulation, I would use
Illustrator.
No.
Illustrator.
Illustrator.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I would use Illustrator for that kind of stuff, like small graphics and things like that. For Fireworks, to me, it just seems like it's like in the middle. It's between Illustrator and Photoshop. But I think if Photoshop had everything that Fireworks had, there would be no need for Fireworks. Well, I guess that's with anything. But if Photoshop just had kind of some slight, I don't know, maybe you could like change it up a little bit. Like if you can like arrange like the window space or something. Maybe if you could like pick an option in Photoshop to have it kind of like a Fireworks display or something like that, and have all the tools for Fireworks inside Photoshop. I don't know. Fireworks does seem a little bit redundant sometimes, but no, I think for web design it's much better than Photoshop.
So I think we have well and truly gone over the hour mark, but I just sent everyone a link, which I could perhaps put in the notes, which is flash-versus-html.com, which looks absolutely amazing. But there's also, I read an interesting article, which I'll also put in the show notes, which basically talks about how Flash uses your GPU to better resource some of the processes.
I think JavaScript does that as well, I think, with OpenGL.
So some of the hardcore Flash guys are saying that Flash does it a lot better, and it says manages concurrent processes a lot better than what native stuff.
Oh, well, this site's pretty awesome.
Like I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but it still seems to me like there's some functionality that Flash gives you that you don't with HTML5 and JavaScript and so forth.
That is a cool website.
It's a very cool website.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, the scroll's awesome.
Yeah, it's like
it's
you just
amazing,
keep wanting to scroll. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But
you can actually use your mouse as well, which is pretty cool.
So thank you, Sash, for coming on the show. You've not been completely useless, so we couldn't get anyone else in, so yeah.
Oh, it was great having you on, man. It was really interesting.
Yeah, no, thanks. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it was really cool having you on. Yeah. Anything you guys wanted to wrap up with, or are we all good?
No, I think I've kind of said enough today.
Yeah. And Fraser, we might have one of your colleagues coming on at some point.
Indeed, yeah. I was chatting to. I was saying I was out on Friday night with my mate that I used to work with in New Zealand. I was chatting to him. He's up for coming on as well. He's a Silver Stripe developer.
Oh,
so yeah, cool. he's up for coming on as well. Yeah.
Yeah, wicked. All right, guys. Cool. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week then.
Yeah.
All right. Take it easy.
All right,
cheers.
Bye.
See ya.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.